Alright folks, we're back. Thanks for watching that quick commercial break. As always, we only play 2 minutes of ads and during the downtime, so hopefully it makes you feel comfortable enough to consider turning ad block off. Twitch is doing a really great, like this is the first time they've ever done anything like this, but until December 31st, all advertisers are getting 50% extra ad revenue, so every bit counts, and even then just a little bit more. So thank you for watching the commercials. We are going to be trying to get Billowy versus TY next. Now this is no guarantee, but that'll be a TVP should we get into it. I know Scarlet and Wellmu are currently playing, and I was looking to try and get that, but they had actually just started either Game 1 or Game 2 as we got out of that game, so there was no way to actually get in there on time. Unless Innovation had won faster. So you know what? It's all Innovation's fault, guys. He took too long to win.
Well, apparently TY is not ready to face Billowy yet. I think he's still facing off against Jin.
Okay. Well, I mean, we could cast the tail into that if we can get an invite.
We did not get an invite.
Okay, then we'll perhaps find another match then, or we'll just sit around waiting for a little bit. Thank you to External Punch for the 5-month resub with as the message. And then Sleepy Cod just resubbed as well for 28 months. Kappa. Kappa, Kappa, Kappa. Alright, so of course, if you guys haven't seen the bracket, ! bracket in chat, Cloudy and Dream might be starting actually, so that might be one to look into. Tom hitting us up. Dude, Tom is like responsible for at least 50% of the bits at this point, I think. Like, Ista Room hit us up with a lot in day one, but Tom's been hitting us up with a lot of these 500 bits here and there. Really love it, man. I'm here for the casters. And Apollo Cam. Oh, you're gonna make Zombie Grub sad saying that, man.
I called my mom last night, and she was talking about how Apollo is just so needy. Like,
So
he actually
sad.
wouldn't let her stop petting him. She'd be like, okay, Apollo, and then he would, like, chase after her and, like, bump her hand, and I was like...
Ooh, hold up. Kelazhur might be facing Trap. You wanna do that?
I'm gonna cry right now. Yeah. I'm gonna cry.
Wow, those are the realest tears I've ever seen. Have you gotten to do Skype sessions with your cats yet?
No, I've been calling my mom on the telephone.
It's like, Mom, I'm gonna walk you through how to use Skype so I can see my dang cats.
She's used it before, but she uses it at night, which is morning for me.
You gotta shape that sleep schedule, girl.
Well, the problem is that I cast until 7 a.m. and I don't want to like stay up for 2 more hours waiting for her to be out of work.
So take a nap and refresh yourself.
Yeah, so hard. My life is so hard.
All right, so we're gonna be trying to get Kelazhur versus Trap, guys. I think that'll be a really good one. TVP. Inked Warrior says BaseTradeTV, Rifkin, and Zombie Grub aren't ever allowed to sleep. Yeah, that's kind of the case. Diasodi says, I'm here for the 100 badge. Thank you for the bits, man. It's appreciated. Solar424 also hits us up with a 17-month to help fill this downtime. And the Gorgon's Crown says, I'm here because I'm addicted to StarCraft. Also, I like the casters. Well, thank you very much. We like your face, too. Trap is currently not responding. He's one of the barcodes, which is a little bit of a pain for Kelazhur to get a handle of, I guess. But, yeah, that should be pretty good times. That should be pretty good times. Scarlet versus Wellmu is apparently going down on Wardy's stream, so if you guys want to go check that out, head on over to Wardy's stream. Again, you can find all the streams over on the Team Liquid sidebar.
Yep.
But, yeah, so it'll be just a little bit of time of waiting, and if this takes too long to get going, we can always go back to what is possibly Billowy versus TY, should that series wrap up too. I just whisper kills and told him we'll wait. Hey, speaking of which, says resubs for 23 months, says I'm here for the Ace Kate and the occasional StarCraft game. I know, right? Like, roll your eyes harder.
Oh.
StarCraft, am I right? Ugh.
What?
So,
you hungry?
No, that was a weird gurgle. I'm not sure what that was. I actually ordered some pizza tonight. So I'm finding it weird. I think I'm losing weight, but not in a necessarily healthy way. Because pretty much for the last 4 days, the second the cast is down, I chug some NyQuil and I go to sleep. Then I wake up and I chug some more NyQuil and I go to sleep. And this is Not because I'm addicted to sleep, but because of these casting hours, I have to kind of force my sleep schedule a bit. And plus, I'm feeling a little bit sick, so it's all for the best, really. But because of this, I'm not eating much. So I was like, you know what? I realized like, I hadn't eaten anything all day. I could totally afford a pizza.
The way to do it, man. Yep. I love the busy diet, or the sleeping diet.
I actually, when I came home from Korea, I was worried. I felt really bloated. I remember there was that one day where I got bit by a bunch of bugs and I felt kind of sick and felt really fat. And I was worried that I had like gained weight from eating too much in Korea because I was just mostly eating ramen and junk food for breakfast, right? I actually lost 3 pounds while we were gone. Feels good, man.
All that walking.
It was probably all that. We were doing like what 20K steps and stuff like that for some of those days.
Yeah, some of them.
It's a lot of work. It is nice feeling busy though. Like I really hate when you're stressfully busy for no reason. That's like not a good feeling. But when you have a good purpose, I think it's probably the best.
Yeah, agreed. Well. Still waiting for this match. Still waiting for some of the other... results, I was going to say. Starry beat Byul. And also beat Tails. Goodbye, Tails. Some Chinese player. Suso looking strong, which is good, because he got knocked out so early last time. And that's kind of the update. Not a lot of players, just like yesterday, so the round of 8 is pretty fast coming.
I feel bad for Naruto, just messaging him now. I guess TY didn't invite him to the game, so he's only had that one game to cast as he got left out of game 2 from Innovation earlier. So he's feeling a little bit down in the dumps. I'm trying to cheer him up, and I was like, well, at least Kelazhur speaks English, so, you know, you'll be fine. He knows to wait. But I had accidentally whispered that to Kelazhur. He's like, no, dude, I'm Brazilian. You know this. I'm like, no. I'm trying to calm down one of the other casters. Please forgive me.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if he actually messaged TY directly or said, like, invite me to TY versus Billowy. But the fact that TY wasn't facing Billowy, maybe TY was like, oh, he doesn't want to watch me, like, own some other guy.
Yeah, the problem here is there really is a little bit of misunderstanding from time to time. What was nice was because we were casting some of the games in sync with Crank yesterday, I was actually having him trying to pseudo-translate for us, which was working out pretty nice. Yeah, while we are waiting, just, again, thanks for chilling with us during the downtime. I promise you guys, we're trying to get into a game. Excuse me. I promise you we're trying to get into a game and not waste too much time here. But a lot of this depends on the players. I still don't know if Kelazhur's managed to get a hold of Trap or not yet. I'm going to just poke him. There are walkover rules on this too, so if Trap has just like straight up gone AFK, that might not be good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. Hey, there's an invite. Perfect timing. And I think he's even hosting on the WCS Gameheart mod. Kelazhur, you lovely son of a gun.
What a god.
All right, well, let's make sure everyone gets in here. Kelazhur versus Trap. This will be a TVP for those unfamiliar with the players. We've got Kelazhur, who's Terran, and Trap, who's Protoss. And wow, that's a lot of bits.
Yeah, it is. 1,500 bits.
It's the most bits we've seen today. Thank you, the Gorgon's Crown. I think I read a message from that guy earlier in chat too, so nice. Has good words and good bits, it would appear.
Yeah, so CK Walsh asked me if I celebrated Thanksgiving in Korea. Unfortunately, no. The most I really did was eat over my allotted calories in celebration of getting fat day. But I couldn't find any nearby Thanksgiving food places. But I've been looking on Twitter and I see a lot of the people that are in Korea hanging out with other Americans eating Thanksgiving dinner. And I'm just like, where is it? Oh well, it's fine. I don't need food. I don't need turkey and leftover turkey. Oh my god, those are the best things about Thanksgiving. God damn it. Whatever. It's fine.
I've never been a big fan of a lot of Thanksgiving food in general. I love gravy, so you put gravy on anything and that's good. But personally, I think turkey's really dry. I don't really like cranberries. A lot of the classic stuff I'm not a fan of. I just eat a lot of mashed potatoes, gravy, really. But I did enjoy getting together with people. Not when it was like my extended family, but just like getting together with a couple friends back in like the end of high school and stuff was always good times. Your quote unquote friendsgiving and all that.
I never liked turkey by itself. I agree with you on that point, but I love making sandwiches with the bread rolls.
Yeah, right? Like,
yeah.
Turkey is great with other things. Turkey on its own is
Yeah. But what's even worse, okay, because I was thinking about it last night before going to sleep, after calling my mom, is that I didn't have Thanksgiving dinner, and apparently my extended family dinner, Christmas dinner, there we go, Christmas, is happening a week before I arrive in America.
So you're like double dip on missing out.
Yeah, and my mom doesn't actually make like a, Christmas dinner for the secular family because it's me, my dad, and her. My dad doesn't even eat meat, so...
I would love if this was, and I don't mean this like in a BM way, but like your mom being super passive aggressive to get back at you for like being gone. Like she loves her daughter so much, but she's missing out. So you know what? She gets to really miss out.
She should have texted me pictures of her Thanksgiving food. That would have really got me.
With the cats in the background, of course.
Oh, would have been perfect.
Well, the big swig of water, we'll get into game number 1 of a brand new series. There is a barcode at hand. I'll update the stream in a moment, guys, but in the top left side of the map, we saw him yesterday. He died to Rogue. It is Trap.
In the bottom right, as the blue Terran, he's Kelazhur.
All right. Here comes the title tease. So I try and get Trap's name here on the overlay.
Title T up.
I still can't get over that Artosis knew about the title T thing. That blows me away.
Yeah, that really proves that he actually watches the stream.
Well, it's just that he's like of all things for Artosis to make fun of me about, there's like a million things to pick from. I didn't expect title T to be one of them during dinner.
Yeah. Well, while you fix the barcode issue, Kelazhur was looking actually quite cool and quite nice in the Top Dogs group that he played in.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited to see what he does versus Trap here. But it is, off server, not as bad as Europeans are having, of course, but it's off server. And Trap is just like, he actually historically had really good versus Terran, but that was back like years ago. I'm actually not even sure what his Legacy of the Void PvT has been at.
Well, for me, I know that we've seen Innovation now play Bio pretty well, and Kelazhur has been a Bio player as well for a big, long time. I'm not sure if he's really going to buy into Mech versus Protoss or not, but I would love to see his iteration of Bio in this matchup and see how it plays out against somebody like Trap. It's funny, though, because for me, watching Innovation play Bio, it looks so much better than any version of Mech we've seen versus Protoss so far. And I want to make it clear, Blizzard had intentions to try and make Mech versus Protoss not the thing to do, but make it more viable. Yeah. So it's really interesting to see the direction that it ends up playing out as a, I guess, cause and effect.
Well, Trap gets in there to scout, which is pretty important, but not end-all be-all. Like, he sees that's a one-base build. He could have done that just by seeing Spidey was blocking off. Unfortunately, he couldn't stick around long enough to see what's coming out of the factory, which is what, I think everyone's curious about. Is like, is it a What-A-Mine drop? It is a What-A-Mine drop. That's pretty, standard. That's an old build, the one base it up. I was kind of hoping there would be something a little more interesting, like tanks again, but that's fine with whatever. And the best way to deal with any one base build or anything that you're not quite sure of what's happening is definitely the Stargate. It just has a lot of good, utility units that come out.
Well, speaking of the Stargate, it's going to be the weapon of choice here out of Trap. CK Walsh says, clearly you have had poorly cooked turkey. My friend, I have had poorly cooked turkey, and I've also had well-cooked turkey, but at the end of the day, I still don't like it. And when I say that it's dry, as other people are bringing this up, I don't mean like, oh, I'm tasting this thing and it's like sand. I just mean it's drier than other meats, and I don't find that preferable. Like, you have like really juicy ham, yummy. That's what I'm going for when I want some meat. I don't really enjoy the drier taste of turkey, even when it's cooked properly.
Yeah, I agree. I think actually, they're saying it's like it should be like chicken. Chicken has the same problem a lot of times too. So. I'm with you, but like it's not even like this isn't even like a thing that's like BaseTradeTV. They're so weird again. They also like Tankovacs. It's like people all agree. That's why. That's why people put like the cranberry sauce on it, right? Like
yeah.
Like no one gets a divider plate in Thanksgiving. You're just dumb if you do that.
Or like a germaphobe, I guess.
Or that.
That turkey cannot touch anything else.
That
That
was
would
a
actually be,
German food.
for me, that would be like a terrible way to eat food. Oh my gosh. I love mixing food. It's like the best part. All right, so it loads the Marines outside of this. Unfortunately, with the Widowmine being damaged so severely, like it is one shot from dead, it's going to be really difficult to plant it down. He's going to bait the Stalkers away, though. Nicely done out of Kelazhur. But as he gets towards the main, there's still things like an overcharge. The Widowmine was the first thing out, but quickly it jumps back in on the medevac. Stalkers are also a bit of a problem. Killers are being very careful not to unload it, but unfortunately still is ultimately going to go down. Takes out the Adept, takes out the Oracle. Might even get the Phoenix for this too, though.
See, that wasn't supposed to happen. That was supposed to go much worse.
No.
Okay, well, it would have died anyway, but the fact that he got any units with it is what is bizarre. The Liberator, I don't even know if it should try. I guess one Phoenix doesn't kill it too quickly.
Yeah, one Phoenix won't, but the Stalkers will, and that's the big thing I think Kelazhur should have noted. Oh, I forgot there's little people on the map. I guess for ADD. Kelazhur is going to lose that thing pretty quick. Normally you're satisfied losing the Liberator, but it trades out for a probe pull, or it trades out for like 4 or 5 kills. I think with the Stalkers, and especially the Phoenix, it's going to be very difficult to get anything out of this for now.
Yeah.
Oh, and we do have tanks coming out, by the way. Really like to see this. Again, it doesn't need to be a lot. Hell, 1 to 2 tanks sometimes is all you need, but they do so much damage and so good at pushing things back. Defensively speaking, 1 tank can go a long way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, from most of the Terrans, we're just seeing them do the regular builds and follow-ups and compositions. Just obviously the tank is a little bit more buffed when they're doing it, and actually the Viking too. So this isn't too surprising to see. Defensively, you do want to make sure you don't just die to a counterattack. Not that Tails or Trap would have had a really good one, but Viking is going to bait that Phoenix.
Yeah, and while this goes on, Stalkers get wrecked. You got 2 probes and 3 Stalkers for that Liberator. Almost a 4th one. Not too bad. Big shout out, by the way, for the new sub coming out of Dolgus. New sub hype. Thank you for subscribing.
Nice. So, cool little thing with that Viking. Now the Viking is going to have free reign of the sky because Trap did not bother really remaking any of those Phoenixes. He's just completely stopped using the Stargate. Pretty quickly into the Robotics Bay, though. And we have been seeing some other Protosses go even 2-base Colossus again, like Hero. This is kind of like in between like 2-base and fully saturated 3rd, obviously, because this 3rd's only just coming down.
I'm just going to block out the base for the time being. I guess I didn't really note this, but Kelazhur is not exactly late in terms of like what the actual game time is, but feels late when it comes to these upgrades. Just what I mean to say to that is you already got 4 Marauders out. You already actually have an army ready to go, but none of them have stim. None of them have +1 ready to fight yet.
Yep.
This medevac has nothing inside of it. I'm not sure what he's planning to do. The sickest fake out or scout of all time?
Sometimes you see it as a scout, but I think this was rallied with the Liberator.
Yeah, that's what it might just be. I thought he was going to pick up the Widowmine and drop it over.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it is what it is. Sitting over there. Cleaned up the probe that was annoying his command center as an expansion.
Yeah. So the most interesting thing about going for like quicker Colossus, whether it's 2-base or this, you know, almost 3rd-base saturated thing, is that especially because the opener, it was a Stargate opener instead of anything else, you don't have the usual fodder, you don't have the usual composition with the Colossus. Like, you don't have Blink Stalkers, which you're going to be adding on later anyway, but you also don't have Resident Glaives to your Adepts, so even though you have a lot of Adepts, they're actually fully upgraded.
If only you had Turkey Vax.
Yeah, exactly. The 2 things that make BaseTradeTV weird.
Well, 2 of the things that make BaseTradeTV weird.
The 2 clearest things.
We're more than just Turkey Vax, guys. Okay, you gotta see the real deep. Okay, anyways, medevac being rallied up there, I don't like for a lot of different reasons, but this is actually a pretty important unit. You usually do not get to make too many of these. Oftentimes at this point, you're moving over into full-on Viking or Liberator production, so every medevac counts, and this one is being kind of wasted. It's not even scouting anything is like the worst part of this, right? Like if you saw the gases at the very least, maybe that'd be different, but he sees nothing with this.
Yeah, it is just totally useless right there. Well, kind of forgot that Echo even has all these rocks to break down. It even has rocks at the 3rd base, which took people a very long time to realize were there.
Yeah, oh my god, I forgot about that. Seriously, it was almost like 3 months into the patch, or the map pool, excuse me.
Hell yeah.
We finally saw people use the rocks.
I mean, I remembered to use them, and I felt like I was so smart.
Right? You feel like a boss because you're like, the pros don't do this. I'm amazing.
Yeah. These guys did though, so I'm glad to see. It's kind of what happened with King Sejong, to be honest, where like people for the first like couple of weeks forgot to break down the back rocks, and tank pushes are very good, and then people remembered.
So he finally brings the medevac back home only after he scouts the warp prism.
Yeah,
so
he's probably like, how the fuck did I see the warp prism?
How did I see?
Okay.
Oh, it's a good scout though. Don't get me wrong. Kelazhur actually really did need to see that, so not too bad. Middle of the map still has a lot of Marines and Marauders with their presence. So it's going to be difficult. Trap can't exactly move forward easily, despite the fact he has Colossus, because Marauders will stim into them pretty quickly. On the other hand, though,
and he went.
Well, I was just going to say real quick, he does know about that Warp Prism, so he knows that there's going to be something coming this way. So Widow Mines are positioned really nicely with the intention explicitly to catch that Warp Prism.
Yeah. I would say he went for Blink first, too, despite having far more Adepts at the time. Now he's adding in more Blink Stalkers as the game continues, you know, to a mid-late game situation. But that was like a little worrying. I guess the Adepts could be argued that for Adept Colossus purposes, they're just, you know, shields with a Colossus, but I think you'd want to upgrade the int that you have. Now it's on the way, along with +2, so 2-1 versus 1-1. Kelazhur not starting his upgrades yet.
The Void Ray coming out probably just to deal with Liberator potential. We're seeing a little bit more Void Ray incorporation here and there. Widowmine there gets caught as well. Is Extended Thermal Lance done? It is. Okay, so he's got that. And Viking Turret and Widowmine guarantee that this Warp Prism isn't going to do anything. Nice defense out of Kelazhur. Oh, picks it off with the last shot of the Viking too. Very nicely done.
Perfect.
That's actually huge because now he knows there's no Warpins coming on the right side of the map. He can focus on the army now.
Yeah, it is very important. Warrior's gonna get sniped. I don't know what they're doing over here.
Yeah, they're getting really greedy is what they're doing.
Speed boost though. Save them.
It's like, again, like 0.2 movement speed or something like that. The Colossus are proven to be more difficult than I think Kelazhur expecting. Keep in mind, Kelazhur does not have range in the Liberator, so it's not a freebie ability to zone them out. And he doesn't want to fight through a choke. The choke's the worst thing he could possibly fight in, so backing away from this is the right course of action.
He's retreating though, like, yeah, the blanked forwards are going to be able to snipe some of these units. Echo has such a weird little, you know, middle spot that he was going every which way with his bio.
Yeah. Well, back at home, he can try and set up, but it's going to be one of those easier said than done things. I don't know that Trap's going to take the bait and run into it. He does lose one of the Void Rays for one of the Liberators.
Another one goes down.
Catches, oh, doesn't quite get the other Void Ray. The Marine split getting really clumped up. He's trying so hard not to actually clump these up. Void Ray again almost going down, but not quite. Stalkers really playing it back with their blink and not jumping into the Liberators. Trap can't really advance through this.
No, it looks like a good enough defense, although I can see why Trap really wants to push it, because his army looks bigger and better, but the Liberators they're not going to be dealt with fast enough, as their numbers have reached a pretty good count. Upgrades were in his favor. Probably still should be, because his +2 armor is almost done. But that's a timing he's not going to be able to take advantage of, maybe, if he's going to be forced to push back. Kelazhur is boldly taking a 4th base. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get this.
It's going to be another point of contention, though, that he tries to force. His Liberator range starts up now. Honestly, if he had this already, I think he could pressure into it, but he's going to take a bad fight if he fights. Walking through that choke looks a little bit scary, but the Marauders wrap around the north side. He really wants to catch that Warp Prism. Almost picks it off, but denied.
Yeah, definitely don't engage without those Liberators. Oh, the SCB transfer. Mistakes were made. Now, once again, Trap does have better upgrades, so you gotta consider that when the fight goes down. He's found a lot of the Liberators maybe out of position.
Oh, the Adepts also transferred through. That may have been a mistake. He loses a lot of that fodder. Now Marauders and Liberators can come through for the rest, but uh-oh. Is there enough anti-air for the Void Rays? There's only like 5 Marines remaining.
Yeah, 5 Marines might have been enough. Void Rays, sometimes they suck, but I think he was worried, of course, by the other attack that was happening. I think
the pincer move. He's going to catch the Colossus from behind. If he comes from the front side, too. Both sides on top of these Colossus. They're going to fall. Dark Templar coming. Got to look out for some of these scans. But you're right. They actually take on both sides.
They were too weak and not enough medevacs, and the Voiders are actually taking care of them super well.
Kelazhur's now in a lot of trouble. I thought he was going to win that fight so easily with the way we've been seeing Colossus fall down to these Marauders, but man, oh man. Yeah, maybe they overstimmed. Maybe there wasn't enough medevac support. I don't know what the case was, but things are real bad now. He's got not enough anti-air for these Void Rays. They're going to push through. Widowmine gets a nice shot, but not anything in the sky. Unless he stops those Void Rays, nothing's going to stop this Colossus. This one tank, can he do it?
GG.
Could have been a god. Could have been a siege god. But okay, that's going to be game number 1, going to Trap over Kelazhur. We're going to sneak away to a small commercial break, guys. We'll be back in 2 minutes with game number 2. Hey guys, we're back. And in the lobby for Vane Research Station, game number 2. You'll notice ZombieRob's camera has disappeared. She lives in like something smaller than a prison cell, so she turns it off when she has to BRB. Just to make sure, you know, nothing silly gets shown on stream. Totally understandable. But we're gonna get into game. Paladin Pope says IEM channel just ran ads through the middle of Maru's game, so we missed the second game. Dude, that sucks. I will tell you, as a promise, we have for 3 years now practiced good commercials. And what I mean by this is, before I got into casting StarCraft and all that, before we started running our own channel, I got really tilted watching like MLG and a lot of the other channels at the time running ads over the middle of their games. So I made a promise back then, and we've upheld it for 3+ years at this point. We don't run ads during the middle of the game. We only run them when there's downtime. So hopefully you can trust us. But we're gonna get into game. Map number 2 in the bottom central side of Vane Research Station. We've got the Red Protoss Trap.
In the top position, damn Van Eyck, it is the Blue Terran, Kelazhur,
who has sent out a rather early SCV. Now, this is a map where if you are going to try and get away with some proxies, I think it'll work. Whether it's Reapers or whether it's the follow-up into the factory and the starport, this is a map that has a lot of ways to get into the base, and a very disconnected hidden natural. So it's... Yeah. If elevator play comes into effect, it's not even going to be necessarily that easy to stop.
Yeah, it's definitely not... Like, just because there's a lot of room for one Reaper to get up, it's still not a great, like, position for, like a 3x Reaper versus Zerg, for instance, because you can't get to the natural very easily. But for a single proxy Rax versus a Protoss, like, yeah, I think definitely a good move, especially if it's not scouted. Even if it's scouted by this probe, like, oh my god, there's no barracks, it's still okay. The fact that it might die, though, is what's really bad.
He does finish the barracks, but dang if that's not annoying.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, I still think that proxying one Rax Reaper or 2 Reapers is still... You know, it's still very obnoxious for the Protoss to deal with, even if they know it's coming. Because you gotta build the Zealot, and they gotta, like, you know, make sure the Zealot doesn't die, you know, like, don't let it just run after the Reaper all day long. And it forces them also to get the cybernetics core instead of going for a gateway expand.
So I was wondering if this weird SCV was coming down the middle of the map or not to try and build a factory, but I think Kelazhur's kind of just cutting his losses, realizing it wasn't gonna get there in time, so factory comes down at home instead. Another SCV comes out. Is this for a gold expand, or is this for a proxy starport?
Gonna guess a proxy starport, but the gold expand was so experimented with all the races. You would see ZVZs where they take that as their natural, and you're like, what are you doing? But it happened.
Oh, he almost gets surrounded with the Reaper, but he's doing a really great job with micro and precision kills too. Gets away from the mothership core with 2 probes dead. 3rd probe over here willing to die as well. The Reaper should be able to protect. Well, actually, might not. The mothership core could probably kill the SCV building a starport if it had built close, but he goes to hide it over far.
Yeah, this is such a common proxy location, and the far more common follow-up to the 1 Rax proxy is the 1 base up to starport. I'd actually be a little judgmental if Trap didn't scout this or try and even look for it, which apparently he's not, because he's focusing on trying to do a pylon bust.
I'm not convinced that this is necessarily the greatest choice. It is not a bad move, generally speaking, but when you've got somebody being really aggressive, you're kind of counting on them having nothing at home, but he's already dealt with the probe. There's only going to be 1 pylon. The Cyclone's going to shred this, possibly. The mothership core gets here just in time, but what's this going to do? It's going to open the depots? For what? For nothing.
Yeah, I really don't like it. I do understand the thought process, especially if you were suspicious they were proxying everything, but it's too late and not powerful enough. So we finally have Trap expanding. So
I thought this may have been the medevac going across the... excuse me. Whoa, was that a burp? Ugh.
Oh my god.
Excuse me. I don't know what it was, but it hurt. But the point I was going to make, the Liberator, it's nothing at home to stop it, right? There's a Stalker. The mothership core's across the map. Even if she recalls, that means she won't have the energy to overcharge. I don't know what just happened, but it hurt really bad, and my lungs are feeling quite sore now.
I feel like I get your diaphragm checked, man.
I know, right? Sorry about that, guys. Anyways, the Liberator is going to come in, and there really isn't much to stop it. even if he builds another stalker, it's 2 stalkers with a defense. A Liberator can fight that out pretty easily. The Mothership, of course, not close enough to home, and he's actually got a really sweet spot with the right side cover. Oh no, this is so bad for Trap.
Ooh.
He can't even get to that sneaky spot in the corner. This can deny a lot of mining. The natural base will finish up soon. He can transfer the probes over. But yikes. Meanwhile, I guess the natural base out of Kelazhur is being kind of denied. This Mothership, of course, is being rather annoying. But this is a lot of lost mining for Trap. I mean, we're on the WCS mod. Nope. No, we're not. Sad face. So I can't show you the... I thought we were. I can't show you the graphs. But keep in mind, Trap is literally mining 1/4 the minerals per minute that Kelazhur is.
Oh yeah, this is a really good position for Kelazhur. And, you know, remember it was all based off of his proxy being scouted, but the follow-up was still effective.
What? I didn't see that liberation zone for a second. That looked really weird.
I don't know about that. I guess the most important thing about this game is that the Starport proxy wasn't scouted, but everything leading up into Kelazhur's favor here. We do have Trap yet again moving across the map with a couple of units, but it's just a small army. What is even this army?
There's actually 4 Cyclones in total. They can pummel an Immortal, because the Immortal now takes 4 shots to kill a Cyclone instead of 3.
It's also just, like, even if you got the Immortal through, SCVs would, like, it wouldn't deal enough damage to
the
warrant,
SCVs
okay?
get surround too, yeah.
It's such a weird little attack, but I really feel this is just proving that the Trap has been kind of, he's been out of it for a while,
GG.
and then he was desperate. GG!
GG! Kelazhur! The Foreign Hope takes game number 2. Ties things up now 1-1, and of course this begs the question, what is map number 3? I really like this. I like that we haven't seen anything super crazy that has been heavily dependent on the patch. These are a lot of the old play stylings and tactics just being applied to new maps. That being said, I do hope we do see some more awesome stuff with mech and new units, but what we were seeing before with people doing that and kind of flailing all over the place. So it's good to see a little bit more, I guess, solid gameplay.
Yeah. Well, the brackets are moving along pretty okay, except for the middle here. I don't know what's taking Hero and a couple other people so long. It's like Hero and Psyarch are holding things up, and Gumiho and Leenox still aren't playing. What's up with that?
It could be the brackets just being behind again. I don't know.
Well, Scarlet did win out versus Wellmu.
Nice.
Maru beat Curious. Bly beat Super. Some really cool names still.
You know, I was just thinking about looking at the bits. They look like little vitamin tablets. So I was going to make like some joke about like, send Rifkin bits to save his lungs. It's like vitamin C.
Aw.
Actually, so what's your opinion of this? And I want to hear chat's opinion too, but I'm asking Zombie Grub directly. Have you seen that little cup that streamers have where they collect the bits up?
No, I've seen overlays though. You're talking about like the overlay.
Well, it'll go on the overlay and it's like a little cup and the bits will like funnel
Oh,
into
yes.
it.
Then yes, I have. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was cool at first, but then people donate so many bits, I didn't really like it.
I want to try and make a version of that where we have an overlay on top of the cup and it makes it somehow look like, you know, you're mining the bits, right? Like that's the deposit for the SCVs or something. Like, you know, on that one map, there's like that grinding thing and it's like grinding the gold minerals as like one of the doodads.
I gotcha.
I wonder if we could get like the 3D model extractor from StarCraft and like apply that somehow. I think that would look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know, we get to play around with bits because we finally have them enabled. So thank you guys. We've already gotten quite a bit today. So thank you to Tom and, of course, Gorgons and anyone else who's thrown a couple into that pot. But getting into game, top right side, he's up, or tied up now 1-1. It's the Red Protoss Trap.
In the bottom left is the Blue Terran. He's Kelazhur.
T-Rap, Aaron, gonna come across the map with this probe, and I mean, it's nice to get an early scout, but the last time he did this, it actually got caught inside the base. This time, gonna be really annoying for the SCV.
Yeah. I mean, again, like last game, he got the scout on the one base, but it didn't really matter because even if you scout the one base, because all you have to do is probe scout, and he'll scout the one base intention. There you go. He's scouting it again. the Terran can still follow through with it. There's still so many things that can come out of the factory, and the starport could still be proxied or not, and you don't know what's coming out of that either. That the Protoss, at the very least, again, is going to have their game thrown off. So, like, Trap was especially thrown off last game. He, you know, got the Zealot because it was a proxy Reaper, and then held up on the Nexus, which was pretty late, and then the Liberator positioning was way too good, especially with the SimCity chose to do.
So there is something to mention about that, specifically the SimCity brought up. Like, I see a lot of people in chat, they were like, good game, David, like, nice balance, that's why Trap lost. But really, it was Trap's choice to build everything behind the mineral lines that lost that for him. There's no reason to do that versus a Terran a lot of the time. There's no, like, lings you're trying to wall off against or anything like that. So to block himself out like that, that's on him. That's a lot more on him than it is on game balance and design.
Yeah, unfortunately, the reason to do it is that the Reaper can't get behind, or it gets trapped if it does, and then you can kill it. But I feel like it is kind of an old way to play. Like, the Reaper never does that much damage anyway, so the whole, like, clever positioning behind the mineral lines feels unnecessary. It
is nice to know, though, a lot of the maps, like, Daybreak's an exception to this, but doesn't fall prey to it, but there's a lot of maps where, if you guys remember, the spacing behind the minerals was increased so that Liberators wouldn't be such a problem. Like, one of the worst instances was actually the third on Moonlight Madness, if you remember. Like, you literally could not stop a Liberator, without range even, if it's set up behind there, just because there was no way to get behind the minerals. A lot of the maps they brought back for the map pool don't suffer that problem unless you create that problem too. So it is something to keep in mind. Like, all matchups versus Terran, it could be an issue, all depending on how things are set up.
Yeah. Well, Kelazhur not proxying any of these buildings this time. Still going to have a bit of a surprise, I would say, with at least the Hellion running in here. Wood of Mine Drop is the most used, you know, opener of the Terrans, so that's not too much of a surprise. 2 Hellions.
The Observer's already out too, so this Wood of Mine shouldn't be too problematic. I think the Hellions will be more damage than the drop, to be honest. Usually the Hellions can get in here and catch you a little bit off guard. They kill a lot of probes, but this medevac's actually not doing such a great job distracting and might just join up with the Hellions. Or the Hellions will distract, hopefully, and open a hole for the medevac, but getting a little bit bold going in here. Kelazhur already taking a lot of damage, and I don't think he can put that medevac in. Hellions are pushed off by the overcharge, and he's just shut down.
Yeah, I agreed with you that the Hellions seem to do more damage, especially if you haven't shown Hellions, then they're not expecting the natural attack, but having both attacks denied puts you in a pretty bad position, having gone for the one base build.
Well, the Liberator's going to go in and see if it can get anything done. Seems somewhat unlikely.
Yeah, it does seem unlikely. It also is quite worrying, the Stalkers moving across the map. Doesn't seem like a lot, especially because they don't have Blink. But, you know, imagine if the medevac had died, which was close to death.
That'd be devastating.
Like, that's actually maybe game over, but just with this and the medevac's still alive, it's just gonna be microed basically. So maybe it'll get a couple Marines.
Well, the push off, not so bad. Command center is brought back to the main, so he's not gonna have to worry about that. The tank sets up, and that's gonna solidify the defense. So much damage with each of these shots.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the Liberator did get a couple of kills, but really hasn't accomplished too much as expected. It's much more easily cleaned up this time around. Trades out for some Stalkers too, which is some nice value out of it. Someone in chat asking how many players can qualify. Total of 4, guys. So they don't have to play the semifinals. They just have to get to the semifinals to qualify through.
Yeah, exactly.
CK Walsh also saying, you were resistant to turning on bits for a while. What changed your mind, basically? A big part of this was I didn't like the idea that bits kind of encouraged paying Twitch money that would have otherwise been donated to the stream. Like, for example, like if you were to send us $5 worth of bits, it would cost you, the user, more than $5 to do so. Alternatively, just sending $5 to a donation seemed a lot more appealing. The ultimate decision to change it, though, was we really have felt the burn of, say, lack of income in that regard. Like, people just weren't donating that much, and it seemed like bits were just becoming a lot more favored on other channels, so it's now to that point where the difference is not enough for me to care anymore. Plus, it's like leaving money on the table, so why not turn it on? Plus,
yeah,
I think there's maybe some fun things we can do. I don't know. I still prefer donation over bits, because you still have to wait. Like, the other part, too, is you have to wait a month and a half to get the bits. Like, you don't get them right away.
Yeah, I agreed. There's also just a couple other things, but the Warp Prism is a little more important, as it does catch Kelazhur pretty off guard.
A surprisingly strong attack. Now, the auto turret will help a lot to clean this up. Again, 24 damage a shot. It shreds one of the Adepts.
those are SCVs going down. Those are probes. Left side of the map, a lot of damage is done to the main of Trap.
Yeah, 21 workers killed versus 1. This
Like,
went a lot better for Kelazhur, and he evens up the worker count.
Yeah, that made up for the initial attack, or the lack of initial attack, basically, for sure. Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, looked away at the wrong second. The Widowmine was rearming. 4 more kills go down. I was checking to see if there's anything in the natural. I wasn't sure if there's a Widowmine down here or not. But no, just the main. Blink finishes up, and I guess detection was a real issue, and still kind of is. He had the Observer out early, which is why I think he was reluctant to break the production cycle on the Robo and build a new one, so it took a long time to bring that Observer back home.
Yeah.
But I do believe he saw the Colossus with a Widowmine, which is kind of a neat scout.
There was too much damage taken for sure, and Kelazhur finds himself in a position that, well, certainly better than it was 3 minutes ago. Not quite, winning, but if he scouted the lack of a third base too, I would think that Kelazhur would feel pretty good about this game. He's all his upgrades finishing, so he can start being aggressive again very soon while he expands. And Trap, I mean, I think he's going to get a third. He has like a probe there and a pylon, but he might try and attack with the Colossus coming out so quickly. No, it was for Dark Shrine, actually.
What I'm actually a lot more curious about, first up, there's a Raven. Like, the Dark Shrine's not going to work as well as it normally does, but this army out of Kelazhur is actually quite strong and quite good in a lot of regards. Sure, there's not that many Marines and Marauders on the ground, but the Raven actually brings a lot of utility, and whether it's a point defense drone to nullify stalker shots, whether it's an auto turret to just deal a ton of damage. Gets caught off guard in the main once again, though. That's a pretty nice dedication Warpins, too.
Again, that main base of the War Prism is going to do quite a bit of damage. I mean, if you get the stall in the barracks, that would be very helpful too. It brings the army entirely back, and Trap's third base is now securely going to come down, but it is still kind of a late one.
He just killed one of the big depots too. Supply called down on it means that's a lot of supply missing now for Kelazhur.
Yeah, but the War Prism goes down, a lot of dips fall with it, and Trap is only on 2 Colossus. I thought he had 3. So 2 really isn't that scary, and he lost all the fodder that would have existed with those Adepts too. Yeah. So I am super surprised that this is the time they chooses to attack after losing so many Adepts and the Warp Prism, which is usually required when you attack.
I'm wondering if he's just feeling forced into it. I mean, this Raven's got so much energy. He's got a Seeker Missile locked and loaded. It's got a point defense run if he chooses to use it. 2 to 3 auto turrets even. And again, I cannot begin to stress. The other auto turrets got a huge buff in the patch. 24 damage a shot up from like 16. It's like an extra Marine is what it is. An extra fully upgraded Marine.
I don't, well, I definitely don't think Trap should attack into this, but, like, it's too scary of an army, with such important units like Colossus to also be, like, out in the middle of the map like that. So that was a pretty scary point time where if Kelazhur had realized, like, oh man, it's only 2 Colossus, maybe I can take care of this. He could have pounced on some of them.
I think that same level of logic's going to apply, though. He did scan the third and saw it was fresh, new, and nothing really there, so kind of darts across the map with some medevacs, hoping that Trap stays outside of his base. He actually pulled back his third so he wouldn't have to worry about defending it while he goes out for this move. I like the idea out of Kelazhur, but unfortunately for him, Trap knew what was up, and he's back home ready to fight.
Yeah. Yeah, typically when a Terran scans anything, it's like where they're going to go. That usually helps. But it's also going to be probably the point of contention as the game continues forward. So, good guess there. Now, Trap still, like, okay, so we kind of did the fake thing, and got maybe Kelazhur a little bit less in the economy because the third base had to be picked up. That's all great and cool. It still put Kelazhur in a really good position if he had a response to the Colossus. His response right now is a good concave and Marauders, which is not quite a response. But Trap only has 3 Colossus. Trap doesn't have any upgrades. If Kelazhur got that good concave, they would actually totally win the fight.
Actually, the upgrades are a pretty big deal. I didn't even realize that was coming into play. Because it's not just that he doesn't have them already, but they're so far out. However, Kelazhur's armory comes down so late, he's not able to really capitalize on rushing to 2-2 or 3-3 for that matter. That being said, with the Fusion Core on the way, I want to get hyped about battlecruisers, but I think we got our battlecruiser hype for the year with Mina earlier today, and this is probably just going to be some of that Liberator range action.
Yeah, even those 2 tanks were produced. That'll be interesting. Might do a lot of damage, and actually might just obliterate the Stalker fodder.
DTs in the main. I do want to point out, we have not seen a single instance of Blink DTs, despite the fact that that's what everybody was so scared of.
Now, this sounds so scary, but just the first time you try and get to it, you're like,
Well,
this is actually pretty bad.
Ace 1, Ace 2. We're going to have a bit of an awkward base trade. Third for third. Well, third for main. Either way. It's not like a game-ending base trade, but this could be a nice pick for Kelazhur. I feel like it's a lot worse for Trap to lose this base than for Kelazhur to lose SCVs, because Kelazhur can just drop down those mules, right? Like, that's not a problem. So he's not going to quite get the Nexus, not without losing everything. No focus fire from these Marauders either. They're just kind of on attack moves. So, yeah, he trades out for a lot of Stalkers, but he doesn't get the base for it. Now down 20 workers, and he still hasn't cleaned this up yet.
What was better in that situation? It might have been a severe misplay not to kill that Nexus, but it also might have... Because, okay, what happens if he just kills the Nexus? You know, Trap automatically counterattacks, which he's doing anyway, but now there's like 10 less Stalkers. So that might have been the better move. I'm not sure. Kelazhur still has that really nice army supply lead. He doesn't have an upgrade that's in fact falling behind.
I want this Raven to be so hype. Throw down those Sacred Missiles, baby. Get the point. Defense runs out. Plegu!
Well, that was pretty hype for the tanks to seed, so they didn't. Fine.
Thank you, late game, for the $15, by the way. Get to it in just a second. Oh, we got another one coming from Tom KD.
Marauders! It should shoot
Marauders
up.
should shoot up.
That's all I'm saying.
Thank you for 20 bucks. We'll get more than that in a moment. Fight pursuing, but it's not looking good for Trap. He's lost so much of his front line. And these Colossus aren't exactly sturdy either.
He's kept the supply where it was, and maybe even bridged it a little, as Kelazhur is still recovering from the worker harassment. So actually, I think Trap is still within his right to do this. He says a lot of Stalkers, replace the Stalkers basically, and as such doesn't have to worry about the Liberators so much. They should be sniped pretty quickly.
This was actually some important scans going behind this for Kelazhur. Wouldn't mind splashes on top of the Colossus, not too bad. But he's making sure that he wasn't falling behind, that there wasn't a 4th and 5th and he would feel despair, but instead now knows he's actually in a fine spot to hold on and fight. And of course, we know for a while he's had an army upgrade, an army supply lead. That's still kind of in effect. I think the types of units too, tanks and Liberators, are just so much better than what Trap has to offer.
Trap's biggest, you know, asset right now is if he doesn't have to deal with Liberators, the Colossus will do a lot of damage. But I think he's always on to deal with Liberators. He's obviously attacking into a very defensive terrain, so it's no situation where I think his army is actually in proper position to take the engagement.
Upgrades are also going to be better for Trap for the first time this game. It's funny to see him be behind for so long, but now 2-2 ahead of Kelazhur.
Yeah. Well, that feel on Double Forge, but also Kelazhur taking so much worker loss. Did not have the minerals, so... In fact, he's supply blocked right now, barely has the minerals to put down supply depots, and I would say that he needs medevacs more than Liberators right now.
I'm definitely feeling that too, especially with the emphasis on Marauders going forward, but we'll see if he spreads himself too thin and this army never gets healed up. He's really, I mean, he's been dropped in the main so many times at this point. I'm surprised he just doesn't put down 3 turrets. It's like FFS, you know? Scouts with a scan on the other side of the map. Sees a Stargate coming down. That's going to worry him about possible Void Rays. I don't think Tempests are really a thing anymore.
Yeah, Tempests are questionable. Plus, we saw Trap do Void Rays last game.
Yeah. So getting to those donations, by the way, late game donated $15. He said, love you guys. Tom KD donated $20. This is on top of a lot of bits, by the way. So seriously, give this guy a round of applause, guys. If you got Tasia claps, please give him some love. He says, donations it is, and then follows it up immediately with bits. It says, donations it is as well. Bit dump. Cheers 500, Ace Kate.
Yay.
Yay. I mean, I guess there's a big discussion to be had about bits. We'll save it for the downtime, because right now this game's actually in a pretty precarious spot for both players. No one's really in a comfortable spot right now. Trap might have more bases, but his army supply is significantly, like 30 down.
Yeah. Yeah. It is army, though, that, like, if these Colossus aren't taken care of quickly enough, it's just as bad as, like, Liberators not being taken quickly enough. So, it's a scary position for both of them. Kelazhur is finally going to leave the safety of his ramp and defender's advantage and pushing out like this, but he is at the point where he needs to think about a 4th base. It's on the way, just now started, but this is probably where he's going to take it, so he wants that Protoss army cleared out.
You know, Trap's lost 4 Warp Prisms this game, by the way. That sucks. That's a lot of, I'll say, miscontrol.
Yeah, but it's also totally Trap. Trap was like seriously a War Prism player back when he was really good against Terran.
So he's going Tempests. This needs to be talked about. Tempests had a massive overhaul. Their range has been nerfed and changed. Their special ability now isn't what a lot of people think it's going to be, because when we saw this in a lot of instances for show matches and balance tournaments, it was like this miniature storm effect. Now it's like an AoE stun. It charges like a Yamato cannon, but it stuns the area that it hits. The area itself, by the way, is about the size of a storm, for context.
It's very interesting to see how it works out. I mean, I guess they still attack by air, and they still have, you know, that advantage to go against the Liberators.
My thoughts are, if you stun
fly.
the Marauders, then your Colossus don't really have to worry about that fire coming in, right? Like,
well, yeah, that would be the ideal. I mean, I'm really hesitant to even like talk about the spellcast, because sometimes it just doesn't. Like, it's less about the spells that they use and getting that appropriately positioned, and more about just taking care of the Liberators, right? Their original purpose.
Speaking of the devil, Liberator's going to move forward. There's not really a lot of anti-air on these front lines, and they get pushed back real quick. Those Tempests come out, and their range versus air is still fine, but their range versus ground got nerfed significantly.
Yeah.
Down to
and
8.
I mean, as long as they take care of the Liberators, and, you know, a point earlier, I meant to say that they can fly, so they can go over some of these, like, more complicated positions, but this isn't that complicated. It just is too much army. Nexus goes down.
Nexus gets sniped through this. I mean, again, the Tempests have really nice air range. They can fire from far away as we're watching, but back at home, it's not like Kelazhur didn't take damage himself. DT's in the main shelling away at the production. 17 workers died. Third base got shut down for a considerable amount of time, and this medevac can't even heal the SCVs. It's out of energy.
Yeah, and if Kelazhur's out of position once, this many Colossus is going to kill even a Marauder army, okay? I would say Kelazhur, despite having the slightest bit army advantage, is actually in the worst position to take this game. I think that it's actually Strap that has the more dependable army, as long as, of course, he doesn't miscontrol it, like walk in a Liberator range.
Yeah, this is quite the interesting game. Map number 3 is brought on for us. I expected this to be like one way or the other, a little bit more one-sided, but I'm loving the back and forth. And this is Kelazhur, by the way, showing that he really can go toe-to-toe with the Koreans. For me, that's personal favorite of this.
Well, not quite enough to one-shot Liberators, but definitely using his position on Daybreak.
If he puts a point defense drone down, it'll stop a lot of the Tempest damage. I think he's thinking about it with the Raven.
There we go. Still, I mean, it's going to buy you some time. If you only got one Viking showing away here, it's not that impressive.
I really want to see the Disruption Blast get used.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I don't
if
even,
you mouse over
know about it?
If you mouse over it, look at it. It shows that underneath the Tempest. But it's a ranged attack. It's not something that goes underneath the Tempest. Kelazhur's bleeding out, though. That's got to suck for him. A lot of this game, he's been doing well at getting around the army for trap. But this is like the one time he can't get around it. He's forced to fight. And he's bleeding out so much for it. I actually feel really bad for Kelazhur, because I feel like he may have been better off just giving away the base. He's lost way too much for this.
Yeah, I like this move, though, but it does trigger Trap to go for the attack. He saw the drop incoming and just was like, okay, I guess you don't have enough army to defend against this.
Kelazhur,
Definitely not.
He can't defend. He's going for a base trade. It's his best bet. That's a lot of Marauders, so they're going to kill buildings pretty darn quick. This is the time for the Ace 1s and the Ace 2s to get dropped, guys, because Kelazhur is actually racing for his life. I don't think he wins when it comes to actual killing the buildings versus killing the army. GG. Trap's going to take this series at the end of the day.
Womp, womp. Still got other foreigners to cheer for, though, if that's your plan for the day.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of the bracket still going. That was a long game, though. It was a great series. And to comment on the bits, because people have, I guess, started to do their research, and you're seeing a big part of like why we didn't want to turn bits on in the first place. Like, a lot of that has to do with like it's not that we're like, I'm not upset that Twitch gets a cut. Like, that's the thing with subs. Twitch allows us to do what we do, and they treat us right more often than not. I really love Twitch guys, so I don't mind that they get a cut of the money. But it is one of those things where a donation, there's no cut. The money goes to us, and we can use that money to make great things happen. But if 30% or 50% or cuts are taken, like, that's just money lost. So again, bits are not a bad thing. Some people really enjoy them, and if you do, don't feel bad about it. Like, again, bits are another way to support a streamer. Watching ads, bits, donations, like whatever way you prefer to support somebody, I guarantee you that streamer is grateful that you do it. But I was just giving some reasoning and some context as to why we had left it off for so long. Anyways, I don't want to miss any games, so we're going to get the ads out of the way. 2 minutes of commercials coming at you guys. More IEM qualifiers when we return.